Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to my new video. I am back. I'm not fully recovered yet, but I am feeling much better. Thank you very much. Thanks for your support and your messages for my COVID situation. I am self-isolating and I'm feeling a lot better. And thanks, guys, for your support. I have taken my 2 vaccinations a few months ago, and yeah, I think it has helped. And thanks for all of your advice about taking ginger and all these other advices you guys have been giving me. I have been checking them out, and yeah, it has worked. So thanks for all your help, guys. So while I was in my slumber, did I miss anything? Oh yeah, the Afghan situation. I was actually my laptop watching my videos on my laptop. So I have been pretty much bored on my skin. I had nothing to do except look at world matters, and that's what I've been doing. Researching, studying as well. So I have been keeping busy. I also work from home, so I've been working as well. So without further ado, guys, let's talk about Afghanistan, shall we? Today's topic, I'm going to be talking about how much America has spent on the Afghan war, the costs, where has all the money gone. So I'm going to be talking about that. But before I talk about that, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, whatever you can to help support the channels. As you know, we need to get as much exposure as possible and try and unbrainwash a lot of people out there. So thanks a lot for your help, guys. So without further ado, let's go on with the show. So before I start, I just want to say what a humiliating debacle this has been for the US. Absolutely humiliating. In all my years that I've lived on Earth, I've never seen anything more humiliating to a country. I've never ever seen anything so bad. The worst foreign policy I've ever encountered in my whole life. This is beyond ridiculous, really. The US has lost a lot. You know, they lost a lot of credibility, lost a lot of trust. I mean, who else is going to trust them now? And the next time there is a terrorist attack in USA, what do you think that's going to happen? Are they going to march into Afghanistan again and do the same thing for another 20 years? And who's going to support them? And, you know, if they went into Afghanistan in the first place with a UN, you know, with the UN following them, there could have been UN troops there, there could have been NATO troops there. Well, there were NATO troops there, but they could have been doing more world building over the last 20 years. But no, America went in alone. So they had to bear all the responsibility by themselves when they went into war. I remember when George W. Bush went into Afghanistan, and they promised the Afghan people they would build them, give them a better life. They'll give them freedom. They'll do a lot of nation building. Nation building has not happened. You know, I don't know what America's been doing there for the last 20 years. And now Joe Biden has come on press conference and he said we were never there for nation building. And that is such a lie. 20 years ago, I remember George W. Bush said we're not going to leave that Afghan people alone. We're going to nation build, and we're going to stay there the course until the threat of Al-Qaeda is gone and there's no more possibility of the Taliban ever coming back into power and things like that. They promised a lot. And all of that 20 years work has just gone down the drain. I mean, who's going to trust them, support them? If there's another, God forbid, if there's another terrorist attack in America, who are they going to blame? Joe Biden. You know, and what are they going to do? They're going to invade another Middle East country. You know, it's absolutely ridiculous. They've lost all trust, respect. And Joe Biden in his press conference is blaming everyone except his own self. You know, he's blaming everyone. It's his own fault. Look, if they wanted to leave Afghanistan, they could have done it. They could have done it in a good way. They could have left a good government, not a corrupt one that they left behind. They could have left a good government, make sure the army was ready. I remember Joe Biden was blaming Trump for this, saying it was Trump's idea to pull out on May this year. I just extended it. That's what he said. Well, it's on your watch, mate. You know, if there's a terrorist attack 10 years from now, people are going to look back in the history books, and the history books are going to say Joe Biden did this. And it's not, you know, nobody's blaming America for pulling out. You know, they've been there 20 years. They don't want to spend any more money. We understand that. But it's just the way you pulled out. You know, absolutely ridiculous, absolutely scandalous the way you pulled out. You know, you had basically pulled out in the middle of the night like thieves. You know, like those diamond thieves. They come in and out. You don't even know they're there. And the next thing you realize, your diamond's gone. It's like thieves. You know, it's like a heist. They just leave all in the middle of the night. And what kind of morale is that going to give to, you know, Afghan troops? There was no handover. Nobody telling the Afghan troops that the Americans are leaving. You know, what kind of morale do you think that would give to whoever's left over? Nothing. No morale whatsoever. And then why would you expect these Afghan soldiers to fight for a corrupt, you know, leader, that Afghan Ghani, or whatever his name is? He's so corrupt. I'm hearing stories that he left Kabul with 7 minibuses, and each minibus basically had tons of money. Like, he left with about 19 million or something like that, something ridiculous. And that money was for the Afghan people, the Afghan army. He's probably not been paying any of the wages for the Afghan army to support him. And why do you expect these Afghanis to fight for him when he's holding back all the money? He doesn't want to do any power sharing, because apparently there's been talks between him and the Taliban, and he doesn't want to do any power sharing with the Taliban. And even though that Trump had agreed with the Taliban, there would be some sort of power sharing before Trump left. And I'll tell you one thing, at least I know Trump would have left with a plan. You know, he would have put a government in place, whether it was a joint one between the Taliban and the current Afghan army. And the pullout would have been much more like organized, not like the pullout that Joe Biden is having right now, where you have people clinging onto planes and falling off planes. You know, Afghanis falling off planes. I've never seen that before in my life. Seriously, you want to get out of Afghanistan so desperately, you're willing to hang onto a plane and fall to your death. Seriously, then rather than face the Taliban. I mean, I'm sure people have seen that image all over the world. It's absolutely, you know, it's absolutely ridiculous and scary at the same time. But anyway, you know, why would the Afghanis fight for a corrupt president who's out there just to steal as much money as possible from the people? And that's why it's collapsed. You know, that's why it's collapsed. America's not providing them with any intel, no air support. And so why would the Afghan army fight for the president who's run away, and with no wages, no way to feed their families? Why would they put their lives at risk? Already, you know, Afghan armies, I'm seeing reports that over 75,000 Afghani army have died over the last 20 years. 75,000 of them have died fighting for the US over the last, you know, 20 years or so, because US wouldn't, you know, US wouldn't put their own soldiers in front. Like, they would send these Afghanis out there to fight the Taliban out there in the mountains and stuff like that, where they get ambushed or killed, you know. But American soldiers don't care. As long as they're safe in their little compound, that's all that matters. I think earlier on in the Afghan war, a lot of Americans were being killed because there was a lot of roadside bombings and with Humvees, and a lot of American soldiers were killed or being injured. But since that happened, all the Americans do now is just lock themselves away in the US embassy and in the airport, and they don't venture out. They don't venture out at all. They're just locked in their little compound, and they never venture out. They just let the Afghan army do that, put them in harm's way while the Americans are safe. So why do you expect Afghani soldiers to keep on sacrificing their lives for Americans who don't really care about their lives? You know, sneak out in the middle of the night, stop paying the wages for all the army guys. And when America had left, they stopped paying, giving aid to Afghanistan, stopped paying the wages. And even if they did pay the wages, they would just get siphoned off by the Afghan president, Afghan Ghani, and he would probably nick it all. So, it just goes to show there's no way these Afghani soldiers would fight for Afghanistan, and this is why the Taliban took over most of most of Afghanistan so quickly. And and these Talibans, they don't have any significant weapons. They don't have any, high-tech weapons. All you see them is like wearing sandals. They don't even have uniforms. They just got their traditional Taliban gear. A few of them carry around bazookas with them. A few of them carry still those old Soviet, AK-49s and things like that. And they don't have any high-tech weapons. They don't have any high-tech. And basically, these Talibans have defeated Americans. Seriously. And I think one of my videos I said a long time ago that America is probably the easiest country to have a war with, because soon as you kill a few Americans, the American public turns, and they turn very quickly. In the beginning, they're always up for war, like, yeah, let's bomb them, let's kill them. But as soon as American lives start coming back in body bags, as soon as they realize they're wasting a lot of money, then they change their mind. They're like, oh crap, actually we don't like this war. A lot of our servicemen are dying, and also it's not good for economy. We're losing jobs, we're losing money. So get them out of there, pull them out, and then public opinion changes, and the president gets voted out, and the next president comes in. He's like, yeah, I'll pull him out. So the only thing you have to do with America, if you fight war with America, is find a way to kill as many Americans as you can, and try and prolong the war as long as you can. If you can do these two things, you'll be a winner long term. There is no doubt. That's what happened in Vietnam. That's what happened in Afghanistan. I want to show you this video, guys, quickly. Let me show you this.
We've seen those hundreds of people packed into a C-17. We've seen Afghans falling.
That was 4 days ago, 5 days ago.
What did you think when you...
Did you see that, guys? That was the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen in my life. The guy, Biden, he's like senile. He's a senile old fool. He doesn't even know, it was only 2 days ago this happened. And he's in denial. He's like 4 days ago, 5 days ago. Where the hell was he? In a desert island. Oh, actually, he was in Camp David, disappearing. And his press conferences were absolutely disastrous. It's clearly written from a script writer, right? He just kept to the script. Being US president must be the easiest job in the world. All you have to do is read from a script that, you can hire some script writers to do. You don't have to answer any questions. You don't have to answer any, difficult questions with reporters. That's all you have to do. And that's what Joe Biden's doing. He's sitting there reading a script, and he doesn't answer any questions from reporters, and he's hiding away when events like this are happening. He's hiding away. Kamala Harris is hiding away. His whole administration is hiding away, not saying anything. No press conferences, nothing. It's the worst administration. And don't get me started on that Catherine Tsai, or whatever her name is. She's like the worst trade minister any country could ever have. Literally need to sack her as soon as possible. But his administration is just all poor. And it starts from the top, guys. When your top guy is so poor, such as Joe Biden, the rest of you are going to be poor as well, because you lead from the top, basically. And it's a very, very weak, poor government. And I'm very, very disappointed by all this. So let's go back to this article, shall we? And this article was released in 2019, and up until that point, 2 trillion was wasted in Afghanistan. And excuse me. And basically, you can count on this cost going up more, and I'll explain why later on. So where has all the costs gone, shall we? Let's have a look. 1.5 trillion in waging the actual war. And in 2019, you can see the areas controlled by Taliban. So before the war had started, Taliban only controlled 40% of the country. The rest of the country was controlled by warlords or other tribes and stuff. So even there, back then, Taliban had not had full control of the country. So what Taliban have now is 100% control of the country. So this is a new and improved Taliban that America has caused. If America left things the way they are, Taliban would have, controlled no more than 40% of the country, and they would have even um, dissipated as well, or split up, because they were not making any money, and they would have just split up, because they're not a real government, are they? I mean, they're just a bunch of guys with sandals walking around with guns, really. They've got no they've got no experience of foreign policy or running a government or how to run a country. I don't know. I don't know how these guys got into power, but it's all America's fault, really. So 1.5 trillion waging the actual war, and then you got all these American soldiers who are killed and also injured as well. Don't forget, thousands got injured. Tens of thousands got injured, and over 2,500 got killed. I can't remember the exact number. And then you have all these other American soldiers having PTSDs and things like that. So that's an ongoing cost as well. So if you can see right at the end, 1.4 trillion on veterans that have fought post 9/11 wars by 2059. So a lot of money has gone to medical, disability care for veterans. A lot of them have also PTSD, depression after coming back from war, and a lot of them end up going into drugs. So the final total is unknown, but expert project another $1 trillion in cost over the next 40 years. So the cost of war is, you're talking about 3 trillion in total. Excuse me. So you got 2 trillion here, but expect that to go up to 3 trillion. Now the money's going to be costing the cost of basically taking the Americans home, but also you got about 20,000-30,000 Afghanis that America's also agreed to take home as well, and they're going to give them food, housing, benefits as well, so that's going to go up even more. Okay, so you got the 1.5 trillion waging the actual war, 10 billion going on counter narcotics. So as you know, Afghanistan was 80% production of the world's heroin, and there was a lot of counter heroin activities happening by the US, and 10 billion was spent on that. But now Taliban have taken over the country. They're gonna boost that heroin level even more. So all of that pretty much has gone to waste. 87 billion on to train Afghan military and police forces. I think it's much more than that. So you're talking about 300,000 Afghan forces that the Americans say they trained. But what kind of training did they give them? Seriously, and where is that money gone? Because none of them seem very competent to me. So I don't know what kind of training they've given them. Probably just gave them a gun and gave them a little bullseye dartboard and say, just shoot that, practice shoot in the middle, and that's it. Those gun practices that you see in the fields. That's all they did, and they probably watched a couple of war films, like Platoon. They put up a little kind of punch bag, and they were like, go and punch that a few times, shoot that a few times, and that's it. That's it. You're trained. Well done. Get your little badge, Blue Peter badge. Here you go. Uniform. Here you go. And your gun. We can't give you any bullets yet because we don't trust you. We don't know if you're going to shoot us or you're going to shoot somebody else. So we'll give you your bullets when you know you're fully ready. And those Afghan soldiers are probably still waiting for bullets and guns or to support themselves. So let's look at the next. 24 billion in economic development. Again, where are the hospitals? Where are the schools? America's done nothing for Afghanistan. The only the only thing that's happening to Afghanistan is aid coming from people, coming from companies, but the U.S. government has actually done nothing for the country. No infrastructure projects, no nothing. You know, all the aid that's coming from abroad is mainly sent by people. People like you and me, and doing charity and GoFundMe projects and things like that. So and that 24 billion is nothing really, nothing. 30 billion on other reconstruction programs. Anyway, again, uh, Afghanistan looks exactly the same as when America went in 20 years ago. So all of that money was probably gone to corruption or just wasted or gone to the pockets of American companies and not gone back into Afghanistan. So who knows? Really, it's just a lot of more money wasted. They got 500 billions in interest, and the last one I've already chatted about, really, about the veterans. So you can see a lot of money has gone to waste. And again, when wars are fought, two companies make a profit. These are the defense companies, and also the companies who, like, for example, like Blackwater, for example, who do with security, and they do reconstruction as well. Defense contract companies and defense companies are the ones they're the only ones that make money. So Americans will be like, oh, here's a couple of $1 billion, go to Afghanistan, give him the 300,000 Afghan soldiers we trained. Go give him an army. Go give him like a uniform. Go give him some guns. And so what these defense companies would do, they would probably keep 80% of it, and give 20% back, and they'll probably buy second-hand goods or buy second-hand stuff for these Afghan soldiers, and they just keep the money that way. There's a lot of corruption involved, not only in the American side but also in the Afghan side as well. So if the money goes to the government, Afghan government, you can tell that that corrupt president, Afghan Ghani, he would have kept like most of the money himself as well, and put nothing back. So I want to end this video with my final few points. And somebody found this statement that Joe Biden did when he was vice president in 2010, and he's called Holbrooke, and he says Joe Biden at the time wanted to pull out of Afghanistan, and he says pulling out the country, he was abandoning Afghan girls, and Biden responded strongly, "Fuck that, we don't have to worry about that. We did that in Vietnam. Nixon and Kissinger got away with it." So can you see how much caring he does for Afghan people, Muslims, or people from another world or another country? I can give you examples. Do you really think he cares about Muslims in Xinjiang, for example? Do you think he cares about women in Xinjiang who he says are in concentration camps, who are being raped and tortured? Does he really care about that, or is he making those stories up? If he doesn't care about Afghan women, he's not going to care about any women around the world. He's not going to care about any Muslim women around the world. That includes Xinjiang, and that includes Taiwan as well. So I remember when there was a lot of Hong Kong protest, and that little lady from Taiwan, the president of Taiwan, and at the time she was, very active in press conferences, and she was saying, "Oh no, based on all this violence in the Hong Kong, we say no to the two system, one country. We reject that proposal." And she was very vocal at the time. And now America's pulled out of Afghanistan. They're the laughing stock of the world. She's quiet. Why is she quiet? Because she knows the same thing would happen to her, in the same situation. If America, can leave Afghanistan without a care in the world, they can do the same to Taiwan. They can do the same to anyone. So she's shutting up. She's very quiet at the moment. And like I said, guys, America's completely destroyed their foreign policy. Who's going to trust them now? The allies are not going to trust them. The world's not going to trust a word that they say. All these little lies they're saying about COVID, all these Xinjiang stories. I mean, yeah, majority of people are still stupid out there, brainwashed. They will still believe anything they hear. I admit that. But there'll be a lot more skepticism. But, you know, we can hope. But anyway, guys, that's all I wanted to say for now. Let me know what you think. And don't forget to check your comments and stuff because YouTube does delete a lot. And if you really like the video, you can buy me a coffee or join my Patreon. Thanks a lot, and I'll see you in the next video.